Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm using my new prized peony stamp set and I'm making a double point card. Now I've made a few of these and I've seen lots on Pinterest, but I've found that the best measurements that work for me are from the Pampered Stamper. So I followed her video tutorial and I looked at her blog as well for her sizings when I first made this maybe about 6 months ago, and they're the sizings that I find work best. So this is what we're making, and you can see that the card stands up like this and you have this beautiful front to it, so it just looks a little bit different, and when it's sitting on the side it looks really pretty. Now, some of the cards I've seen don't have this backing piece, and I like it because then your card will stand up. And I don't usually do my cards this way just in case they splay out a little bit like this. But I've found that with this card, because it's got a lot of weight on the front and towards the bottom, it doesn't seem to make it push down or splay out. So I like this card and I think it's a really nice one to make, but it does take a little bit of time. So I have pre-prepped some things already. And let me show you how we start and what we're going to use. So in this stamp set, I've used this large image here. And what I've been doing this week is just playing with the whole set. And I stamped lots of the flowers. I stamped them in my basic grey and I've coloured them in with petal pink and old olive blends. And let me just take those out. This side on my dies is where all the pieces for the flowers are, and this is the piece that cuts it out. On the other side of my dies, I've got all the pieces that make the 3D flowers. I make these beautiful 3D peonies. So I had to sort of put one side for my 3D peonies and one side for my stamping ones because I was getting a little bit confused. And so as you can see, all week I've just been playing with them. I played with colours to see which colours I liked the peonies in. I made 3D peonies. I made the little leaves. So now I've got just a big pile of everything that I can use. And these are the colour of the peonies that are in my garden. That's why I was making some in this colour. But for the card today, I want to use, let's move this out of the way. I want to use one of the peonies that I've already made and coloured in. And I'm not going to use any of the leaves and I'm not going to use the 3D pieces. But I am going to use some of the beautiful paper. Now, often when I make this kind of a card, I'll put a very simple little flower, or I've used the sailing boat from Sailing Home just on the front, and I'll make the paper so that it's one of the prettier papers. But because I wanted the emphasis on this card to be on this flower, I didn't want to detract with the paper. Excuse me. So this is the Peony Garden paper, and you can see it's beautiful. It has some gorgeous patterns, and I love the plainer sides as well. And this is in grey granite or the basic grey, and the petal pink, of course. So I do love this marble one as well. And I think some of these you could colour in as well, and they would just make the most gorgeous backing papers. So I've chosen this one. And what I did was I just cut the 12-inch strip into 4-inch pieces because I knew I wanted a 4-inch piece for this card, and a 4-inch width is a really good layer to have on ordinary cards as well. And that way I get a little bit more out of the paper. If I cut it 6 by 6, I sometimes end up with like a 2-inch piece that I haven't got much that I can do with. So I've cut mine into 4-inch strips. Now, let's put that away because we don't need that. I've already cut that. And we don't need those peonies, so let's move those out of the way as well. Okay, now to make the card, I'm going to start at the very top and work my way down. So the very top is this piece here. And I'm using these stitched nested dies. And what you need is the largest one from the left and the second one from the right. So you've got two that will nest together, but that it's not the biggest one. Now, with a scrap of petal pink, I've already cut this out. And with this, I used the larger one of the two that we've got. And I just put it on my paper and ran it through my Big Shot. And I made sure that as it was going through, this edge was first. The Big Shot likes it better if you have just a little bit of a die to start with and it runs through easier. If you put it through that way, it doesn't like it. It clunks and it doesn't always go through easily. So I always try and have just a little bit going through first. So that's the petal pink that we've cut out with that one. And next we need this sentiment piece. And what I've done, I've chosen a different sentiment for this one. I've chosen the love and thanks, dear friend. And I've got just a little scrap of white, which I know this second one fits into. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of try to use this die to work out where I want to stamp. I don't want it to be too high up at the top, else I won't get this nice V shape. So if I line this up on my paper, I know that if it goes about there, I'm going to be about right. So let's put it like that. If you choose one of the smaller ones, it will actually fit inside, and that makes it easier to stamp as well. So let me just see, I'm going to stamp it about here. Right, and I've got my basic grey ink. So let's open that up, and I'm actually just going to stand up to stamp it, just so that I can see it properly. I'm going to move it down just a little bit. And it doesn't matter if it's not dead straight. It's straight enough, but don't worry if it's not. Okay, then I'm just going to bring my Big Shot back in. Let's just move this along. And I apologise for the noise that the Big Shot always seems to make. Let's put it that way. You can maybe see just a little bit better. Okay, so I've got my piece of card here. I've got my die ready, and I'm just going to put the die on and then sort of position it so that I've got that writing at the top and that it's in sort of a straight line. I think that looks sort of straight. And put the other plate on. Just a minute. Just moved that slightly. I think that's sort of straight. Just take it all the way through the Big Shot. Correct it on the other side. And let's get rid of that. Okay. So that's, oh, I got a little smudge on there, but it won't matter because we're going to put a flower over the top. So, yep, that's straight enough. Right, so I'll put this card here so that you can see what I'm actually making. I'm going to attach this one to the petal pink one that we made, and I'm just going to use my Tombow multi-purpose glue. But you could use, you know, your tear and tape, you could use stamping seal, whatever works for you. And when you put these on, just remember that it looks like you have a higher border at the top and the bottom than the sides. I know the first time I started using these, I was trying to make it so that the sides were all the same and everything, but it doesn't quite work like that. Okay, so there's that piece already done. I'm not going to attach the flower just yet. I'm going to wait until I've got the rest of the card made. So we'll put that to one side. So we've done this piece. Now we're going to do this white base and the little diamond points. So what I did was I got just one piece of the Whisper White card and I've stamped right in the very middle of it. And I know then that it's going to be between the diamond points. And once I'd stamped it, I just coloured the leaves in the Old Olive blend, and I've got the dark petal pink. And I'm just going to very, very quickly colour this one in. I didn't do any fancy shading. I didn't do sort of light then dark. I literally, the same as the flowers for the outside, I just went over it with the one blend. And then I just coloured sort of the middle ones over again so that it looked like they were a tiny bit darker, and that was all. And while I was doing that colouring, I have another one exactly the same size, and this is going on the very inside of the card, and I just did the same flower, same colours, just ready for inside. Okay, so this is our first layer, this piece here. And you can see that we need to attach these pointy pieces of our DSP. So I've got my DSP, and these are just cut at 3 inches by 4 inches and scored sort of down the length here on the long side at 1 inch. And that is going to give us just enough to hook over the top of the card for when we're attaching it. Now, if you want to have the patterned piece, just make sure when you cut that your 4-inch width is where you've got the patterns. Otherwise, you might end up with them upside down or on the side or something. So, to make the points, this is going to be my front, so I've turned it over, and we're just going to fold these corners into the middle. I'm not going to push them all the way down yet, and I'm only taking it up to where that score line is, look. I'm just going to hold that. I'm not going to press it all the way down. I'm going to put the other side up as well. And I want it so that these are going to meet in the middle. I don't want them to have a big gap. So while you haven't glued it down, you're able just to push it along a little bit so that you get these matching up. And now I'm going to glue them down. You can glue them with tear and tape or your Tombow. I'm just going to use my stamping seal. I'm just going to go right across. I've seen that some people just put the tape on this little triangle and push it in. But honestly, I find it just easier to go across the whole piece of designer series paper at the same time. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to do the same with the other. That's my front. I'm going to fold that one down. Fold these corners into the middle. But I'm not pressing them down until I've got this right hand side one in as well. Make sure that they meet at the bottom. Then just with my adhesive, I'm just going to go over, stick them down. Okay, and then we're going to attach them to the piece where we had the flower in the very middle. And again, you could do this with tear and tape. You could do it with your Tombow. I might as well do it with seal because I've got it here. And we're going to put it so that it's sitting nicely at the top there. And we're just going to fold that piece over. Okay, and that gives you that nice little point. We haven't got anything overhanging at the edges, but if you did, let me just get my scissors, all you'd do is just, in fact, I can see a tiny bit there, so that all you'd do is just snip across so that you can't see anything. Same at the bottom. Let's put this one on. Let's move that along. Oops. around the same again. I'm just going to turn my card upside down, and I want to make sure that this card is right in the centre here. There's nothing overhanging. Fold it down and just press it on. There we go. Okay, so there are double points already made. Now, the next part is that we're going to attach it to the base card. And I've already got my base card cut, folded. Let's put that down. I'm just going to get my bone folder actually and go over that. There we go. And then this is going to glue right on top at the front. And again, whatever your choice of adhesive is, everything works. So I'll try the Tombow this time. There we go. And so this, I'm just going to attach it to the very front. Now it's a little bit tricky to see when these points are sticking up. So I tend to push the top one down a little bit. And then I move it onto the side so that I can see if it's level. There we go. And then I'm going to open it out, lay it flat, and then just go over it with my bone folder. And then I know it's all stuck down. Now, if you wanted to put a little sentiment under here, you could stamp another little sentiment too. Even one at the top and one at the bottom. That would be really pretty. Or more flowers or leaves, whatever you feel like. Okay, now I'm going to do the inside piece, and that's this second piece of Whisper White that we've already stamped. And I should have, yeah, here it is. I should have just a little tiny strip of the matching designer series paper, and it's just the same 4 inches wide, and I just made it 1/2 inch deep. And I'm just going to pop that on the bottom, and that just helps everything to sort of match in together. I'm going to leave a little layer at the bottom, little white line. Now I didn't leave a little white line on my first one because I'd stamped the flower slightly down a little bit. Okay, and then let's have this attached to the inside. And we're just going to offer that up, make sure it's in the middle. I've got a nice border all the way around. And then I've got lots of room for my writing inside there as well. Okay, so let's go back to the front and to our little piece here. What you need next is your Stampin' Dimensionals. Let me just find where I've hidden mine. Let's find some bigger ones. These are a bit small. Where did I put the big ones? On the table, I can't see them. No, can't see them. They're hiding. Okay, I'll use small ones, but the bigger ones are a better size. And I'm just going to take 3 off. And with the bigger ones, 3 is just a perfect size. Just fits in there. Make it like a little chevron. And you're not going to be able to see it. But because I'm using the little ones, I'm actually going to put a 4th one on. And whereas the big ones take up the whole of that chevron, these little ones, with them being just that tiny bit smaller, I think I need another one. Okay, so I'm just going to close up the card, and I'm going to try and make it so that, you know, the points on my nested label die are centered. Same at the top and the bottom. Okay, you see I haven't got any adhesive here because you need to be able to open that. But those 3 there are just perfect. And now the last part of attaching to the front is going to be this flower, your peony. Now you can put it however you want it. I actually like it on this angle so that it's sort of laying down a little bit. And I'm only going to attach it with glue. So I'm going to put my Tombow glue some here, a little bit on this side, and just on these leaves here. I'm not going to be putting too much on because else it'd be squeezing out everywhere. So a little bit on the underside of the little bud. And there we go. And that's all you need. If you wanted, you could put that on with dimensionals as well, but I don't think it really needs it for this one. Sometimes with a smaller flower it might do, but I think because this is quite a big statement flower, I don't think you need it to stand out any further. Okay, and then last of all, I've got the gems that go with this set, the elegant faceted gems, and I'm using that middle row. Please excuse my telephone ringing. I'm not going to answer it right now. Okay, and I'm going to just put one on here. Okay, I'm going to put one on here, and then I'm going to get one of the bigger ones and pop on here, and then another little smaller one. I love how these are just faceted. They're so pretty. And there we are. Now, the only other thing I decided to do was decorate my envelope. You know how I like to decorate them. And I used this same large peony stamp, and I just stamped it on the front so that it matches. I'm not going to colour it in or anything. I actually quite like the grey on the white there. And so there we finish. I'll put that one out as well so you can see. I hope you like that. If you check on my blog, my craftsbythebow.blogspot.com, I will put all the sizings and everything on there for you, just so that you know what size the paper, the card, the pieces for the points and everything are. And I'll also add everything I've used. Thanks again, everybody, and thank you to the Pampered Stamper for letting me watch her video originally and have the idea of how to make them. Thanks again. I'll see you all really soon. Bye-bye.